How's it going, guys? Dynamite here, coming to you as always from the Digital Warfare 24/7 forums, and today we are going to see Trust and Truth drop a KEM on these unsuspecting Christmas noobs. You see him pick up that double kill right there, right off the start. He's going to spin around, pick up one guy going through the plaza, and get another guy who's coming from A-Dom to start 4-0. Very, very nice. He's rocking that ugly Christmas sweater camo just to prepare himself for the holidays, just to make his holiday ponage that much more evident to the scrubs that he is going to be laying waste to in this game. You're going to see him using this K7 very effectively. The K7, a weapon that's great off the hip, has that really good damage profile within its effective range, but outside of its effective range it's actually going to drop off to 15 damage, which is going to make it extremely weak past close range. And so this is something that you're going to look for not to be included too much in pro gaming. I actually just got back from UMG Philly last night, and this was a weapon that I did not see featured even once in the pro tournament. And the reason for this is that the Bison, I think, is a little bit more controllable. It does a little bit more damage. You get a little bit more magazine capacity, and it has better iron sights too. It's generally all around a superior weapon, except for the fact that there's that integrated silencer on the K7. Now, an integrated silencer is not something that pros are going to be looking for as much because, and this is a really interesting point, suppressors are largely useless in competitive play. And I hear this all the time. People ask, how come silencers are so important in pubs and yet pros don't use them at all? And I've put a lot of thought into this, and I've come up with a couple ideas why. As I was watching UMG Philly in particular, I was just astonished by the pros' presence of mind to be able to figure out exactly where enemies were coming from on a really consistent basis. Just throwing out those callouts and keeping their teammates really, really aware of where the enemies were on the map. So even if you're running a suppressor in pro play, you're probably going to have your position pinpointed anyway. Another huge asset to not running a suppressor is the fact that you're only going to be running in teams of 4, so there are only 4 enemies on the minimap. And it's much easier to keep track of 4 players than it is 6, and certainly easier to keep track of 4 than, say, 9 in Ground War or something like that. Also, in pubs, you're not always going to be playing with team members. They can help you with callouts, so staying off the minimap is going to be much more paramount so that you can move around the map very quickly. And that's, in fact, what Trust and Truth is doing here. You see, every single time his teammates start to get close to him, you're going to see him pick up, and he's going to pull up his stakes, and he's going to move somewhere else. And the idea here is that he's going to be where the enemies are spawning. A really good rule of thumb in Call of Duty is that if you're around your other teammates and you're looking in the same direction that your teammates are, you're probably going to run into enemies face to face, which is hardly the ideal situation. You want to be coming up from behind when you approach enemies, and that is something that being far from the rest of your players and skirting the edge of the map around where you think the enemy is spawning is really going to help you out. And that's basically the entire basis of how Trust and Truth ends up picking up this KEM. He's just moving all the way around the map. His scrub teammates are probably firing off their weapons and making their presence very obvious as to where they're spawning, and Truth just uses that as a distraction and works around them to pick up this KEM. Continuing to talk a little bit about his perks here, you'll notice that he's running a combination of 3 points worth of perks before his specialist bonus. Truth might not realize that you can actually run up to 4 points worth of perks, and it's not going to make your specialist bonus cost any more. So I would advise him to maybe do that. Maybe he could replace one of those 1-point perks with ping or something like that would help him out a little bit more. He's going to have scavenger in his specialist bonus, which is a really good idea. As you see him closing in on this 25th kill for his KEM, he's going to come around this corner right here and boom, boom, 1-2. That is where it's going to be. Calling in that KEM right away because it was already getting pretty close to the end. You can see it's a absolute pacing, 70 to 20 kills. So not exactly the best in the way of competition, but still a great chance to talk a little bit about this weapon and the difference between pubs and competitive play when it comes to suppressors. So thank you guys so much for watching, and stay tuned till next week.
Fuck you gonna do?